What's going down, everybody? It's your boy, That Guy Mile High, tuning back in front of the reaction. And this time we got the top 10 darkest moments in Family Guy. You dig what I'm saying? Are you ready? All right, let's go. Let's do this.
During the most recent seasons of Family Guy, we've seen more and more stories that were darker than the rest. Topics such as murder, domestic abuse, suicide, and harassment began to be
Family
used
Guy has
more and
gotten
more
wild,
frequently.
bro.
While some of these instances are overshadowed by comedy, using the violence itself to entertain, such as during Peter's infamous chicken fights, others are left to purposely invoke a sense of paranoia and fear into the audience.
Bruh.
Today, we want to cover what
They really have, man. Some of the Family Guy episodes have some really interesting moments. But the reality is, we as people are the problem. We like that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie. It's funny. Okay. I mean, I might be, there might be something a little wrong. I don't know. But it's funny, bro. It's funny. Let's go.
considered to be the top 10 darkest moments on Family Guy.
Right, let's see what's
no,
up.
we won't be talking about Peter's search history being revealed, which, may I add, could have been avoided if he were using a VPN. Today's video is sponsored by
That's funny.
Surfshark VPN.
Shout out to them for their sponsorship, but we're moving on because we don't have that sponsorship. So yeah.
You for watching American Dad instead of Family Guy. If you'd like an amazing discount,
Nope. We don't want a discount.
the episode simply titled Brian and Stewie, the duo found themselves locked in a bank vault. Things quickly escalated when Stewie, rather than calling for help, used the last of his battery life to call a store to make a clothing return. This set the tone for the two, with the rising anger towards one another, followed by the sullen calm afterward. In one of these more calm moments, Stewie decided to ask
Bro,
Brian
Stewie
why
is funny, bro. He like never mind. I'm just saying. I'm about to be like, the way he be doing Brian, he be doing him dirty. But y'all already know that. So let's go.
a gun in his safety deposit box. Initially, Brian tried to play off the question, first implying that there wasn't really any reason, before trying to tell Stewie that the baby wouldn't understand anyway. But after a moment, he caved and revealed it was for if he ever wanted to take his own life. This was then followed by Brian explaining how he had days where life became too hard to deal with, and that being a canine that wasn't so in touch with that part of himself, he felt lost. This episode stood
That's,
out,
like,
being
super
commended
deep
by
and
fans
shit.
for handling the topic with a level of sensitivity we don't normally see in the series. Following at number 9 is Peter being
That's dope.
harassed. After
You know
showing up
what?
to
Let me know down in the comments below if y'all like this style of the Family Guy videos. Like, I kind of enjoy like the breakdown and kind of even hearing, the someone else's kind of like interpretation of the scenes and like the messages, I guess, that Family Guy is trying to give off. But yeah, let me know in the comments below if y'all like that, because I kind of dig this shit.
Without glasses, Peter became the object of Angela's obsession. She started doing all she could to objectify
She
Peter
did.
at
I've
work.
seen that
When that
episode,
wasn't enough,
actually.
she began calling his house and insisting he sleep with her, using the fact that she was suicidal to guilt Peter into following through. Seeing Peter slowly become more and more terrorized was awful enough, but the fact that,
That
he
shit
couldn't
is,
get
and
any
that
help
shit's
made it
real,
worse.
bro. Like, man, and it's not just women who do it. There's men who do it. Like, that's such a crazy manipulative, tactic to basically like claim this, like, I'm gonna take my life, suicidal, situation to like guilt trip somebody into doing something that you want them to do. Like, that shit is just so manipulative, bro. Like, that just shows you like how, like, that one thing, if you can catch somebody doing that shit, run. Just run. I'm just saying, okay, just run, because that's not okay, bro. And if they're willing to do that, you don't want to figure out what they're willing to do, okay? You really don't want to know.
Talking to his friends, they didn't offer any real advice. And when Peter went to Lois, she dismissed him, stating that he couldn't be harassed even if he liked it. At number 8, we have
That was messed
April
up.
and Quahog. This episode as a whole was upsetting for a number of reasons. First, Tom and Diane had no issue with making everyone believe the world was ending. They used their credibility in order to sell a fake story and came across as delighted when they bragged about their prank causing people to riot, loot, and even take their own lives. Aside from that, we then have Peter, who is exposed as the uncaring parent that he really is. As he was comforting Lois, Peter clearly stated that he hated being around his children. After the crisis
messed
was
up.
labeled as a simple prank, Meg, Chris, and Stewie were understandably hurt. Peter had decided that in their final moments they should know that their father hates them. In the end, Peter wound up buying his children's affection, but it was disheartening to see that Peter did in fact resent his family. Taking place at number
That's
7
messed up.
is Death on Mount
But that
Everest.
shit is so.
When Lois
It's crazy how like they take real life situations, emotions, you know, and yeah, like and really kind of like make it this like crazy, fun, interesting show. But there's really be some deep messages behind some of this shit,
decided
bro.
to
For
reconnect
real.
with an ex,
And it be
the
really
family
dark.
was
For real.
forced to sit through a
Some
dinner
shit is
in which
depressing as
Ross and his
fuck.
wife and son were able to gloat about their success. Lois, not wanting to be bested, demanded that they also go to climb Mount Everest in order to prove they weren't the losers Ross's family labeled them as. Not only was this a horrible thing to do purely out of spite and put the family in danger, but this ordeal led to the Griffins having to eat Ross's son when they found him dead. Even worse was after this, when the Griffins see the distraught parents looking for their son, they didn't say anything and allowed the couple to walk right into a horrible storm. Next, at number 6 is Seashell Seahorse Party. This was another instance where the episode as a whole was incredibly disturbing. Trapped in the house during a hurricane, the family falls into boredom and so finds ways to make the time pass. In Brian's case, the solution was to take a bunch of mushrooms he had been saving and experiencing a horrible trip. As with many of Brian's ideas, this didn't pan out well for him, with the canine deciding to cut off his ears and experience hallucinations that showed him Peter being roasted alive, and monstrous versions of the family and neighbors. This resulted in Stewie having to spend the evening sewing on Brian's ear and trying to console the dog as he rode out the worst of his drug trip. The rest of the family opted to be in the living room, waiting out the storm together. After Peter decided to sing along with some instrumental music, Meg snapped and set off a domino effect. When everyone began to dogpile on her as they normally did, Meg had enough and chose to stand up for herself. She tore into Peter and Lois, pointing out their horrible parenting and selfish behavior. She criticized Chris for never being around when he needed her, expressing that she was tired of Chris choosing to berate her like their parents. When she finally had her say, everyone then began turning on one another. And the episode ended not with Meg finally being able to be seen for who she is, but with her deciding to take it all back and continue to be the family's punching bag in order to keep the peace. At number 5 is
that's like a crazy again. I want y'all to know. Let me know how you like this like explanation style video. Like it's very interesting. Like I said, I'm like I know I said that's dope, but it was more or less like in my brain. I was like, man, like I would have never kind of like interpreted that situation or that moment that way. You know what I'm saying? And it was just kind of interesting to kind of hear him say it that way and break it down in that fashion. Because you know I didn't necessarily disagree with it. But yeah, like it would have never crossed my mind. I would have never thought that deep about it, to be honest with you.
Stewie. After he failed to shoot a child that had picked on him, Stewie was left to wonder what
that's
he
real
had done
shit.
to
Y'all need
mess
to be
up,
keeping
claiming
y'all
he
shit
assembled
up.
the gun enough times to know better. When Brian stated it was because the infant was losing his edge, Stewie decided to fix it so his evil streak was once again intact. This experiment wound up failing to boost Stewie's need to be evil and instead created an entire secondary version of him that would go by Evil Stewie. What followed was several instances of Evil Stewie running around, maiming and killing people. When he first came across Brian, he chopped the dog's tail off and nearly suffocated him. When the original Stewie came across the scene, he was nearly made to eat the severed tail. As the evil baby fled, he sliced the woman in half before stealing her vehicle and was also shown to shatter the Kool-Aid man.
I think I do
Following
remember
at
seeing
number
that
4
episode,
is
honestly,
the Stewie kills Lois arc. Stewie's hatred for his mother is well known, even for those that aren't all too familiar with the show. The episodes Stewie kills Lois and Lois kills Stewie presented a
Which
world
is crazy
in which
too,
Stewie
because
finally
usually the youngest child is the one that's like babied the most, you know, spoiled the most. And usually he's like the one that like attaches to the moms, I feel like the most. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
with his threat to get his mother out of the way.
It's
this wound
such
up
a
being
crazy,
a
like, weird
simulation,
dynamic that
with Stewie
Stewie and his
deciding
mom
he had
have,
more
for
to learn
sure.
before following through with his plan. However, we had to include it on this list due to the level of violence and seeing major characters killed off, even if it hadn't lasted. At number 3, we have Chris being hunted. While suffering from the after effects of a hot dog eating contest, Lois announced that Chris was to be sent to a fat camp in order to lose some weight. While there, a child is found dead, having been strangled. This led to the show bringing back Lois's brother Patrick, typically known as the Fat Guy Strangler. Thanks to Patrick, they were able to figure out that Chris was meant to be the target. Sure enough, the killer was revealed to be Charles Yamamoto, the man that lost to Chris during the hot dog eating contest. Not only did this episode deal with murder, but it showed the terror Chris felt at wondering when the killer would find him. Taking our number 2 ranking is Quagmire's sister. When she returned after Glenn's near-death experience, viewers were shown more of the horrible life she was stuck in. Brenda was beaten and berated by her boyfriend Jeff to the point that many tried to get Brenda to get the courage to leave the man. When this failed, with Brenda explaining she was marrying Jeff due to being pregnant, Glenn, Peter, and Joe decided to lure Jeff away to kill him. This plan nearly failed, with Jeff catching on and attempting to choke Glenn to death before Quagmire managed to crush Jeff to a tree with his car. The story ended with Brenda being given a fake note that
I never seen that
Jeff
episode.
left her before the credits rolled, leaving the 3 friends to share in the dark secret. Finally, at our number 1 spot for the darkest moment in Family Guy, we have Road to the North Pole. When one thinks of Christmas specials, one normally thinks of light-hearted and song-filled stories of wonder and magic. This was not one of those stories. It began by Stewie feeling insulted at not being given a gift he wanted, and so deciding to go to the North Pole to kill Santa himself. Brian, not able to convince Stewie that Santa wasn't real, was dragged along for the trip. Not only was Santa real, but he was sickly and begged Stewie to kill him. He explained how Christmas had become so demanding that everything in the North Pole suffered. The reindeer were feral, the elves inbred and walking to their deaths, and Santa appeared malnourished and sleep-deprived. Along with all of this, when Stewie and Brian offered to help, they made things worse and assaulted a family. But what do you all think? What do you consider to be the darkest moment on Family Guy? Let us know in the comment section below.
That
Also,
one might very well be it right there.
Honestly,
like, bro, like that, like I know Christmas is not, a cheery time for everybody. Like let's just throw that out there. It's unrealistic to think that everybody looks at Christmas as, this very happy, cheery time. Like that's just not real. Okay. But that was like taking the idea of something that is supposed to be super cheery and, fun and happy times and making it like terrifyingly real and being like, yo, not everybody likes Christmas. Not everybody has good times during Christmas. Not everybody, you know what I'm saying? Like it was just like putting in your, like, in your face. And that's wild. So that was definitely the wildest clip for me right there out of that whole situation. There was definitely some deep situations. Some of them was like really interesting, but that last one was crazy. That was crazy scene. Anyways, y'all let me know what y'all thought about that down in the comments below. What was the craziest scene that that oh boy broke down to us today? Shout out to Channel SA. But yeah, let me know down in the comments below, and let me know if you like this style of the Family Guy reactions, you know what I'm saying, or videos. I thought it was really interesting. I think it was a kind of nice little change of pace and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, you let me know down in the comments below, because if you don't like them, then we'll stop doing them. But if you do, we'll do more of them. You dig what I'm saying? All right, I love y'all. Peace.